William Blake is one of the more amazing characters in literary history. He's certainly interesting to me. I became interested in him when I was very young, when my father quoted some lines from Blake, and they are, "He who binds to himself a joy does the winged life destroy, but he who kisses the joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise." So I like that because Blake does in 4 lines what, say, F. Scott Fitzgerald and many others took entire novels to do. The idea is that if you inflict a joy upon yourself, or if you go chasing the horizon, that happiness is always at the next level of some ascendancy you're on in life, then you'll never be happy. If you go chasing it, then life will destroy you. But if you look around yourself and embrace the happiness and positive things around you, then life will reward you with a kind of contentness that you can't get, as I said, chasing the horizon. So here's Blake. He lived from 1757 to 1827. So if you think about those dates, I mean, it was they were really just overshadowed by the American Revolution and French Revolution. And you just got to think that if you lived during those times, it'd be kind of tough to make a any kind of a stir during your lifetime. That would just be a very intense international climate to try to exist in. He lived in London, all except for 3 years when he lived in Felpham, which is in the extreme south part of England. But as a young man, his father was a hosier, which means he made stockings. And now Blake, other than going to school for art and drawing, he never had any formal education. Not the type that we would think of. He apprenticed as an engraver for 7 years, and that makes me really look at his art in a folk art kind of way. And I'm interested in art. Folk art is art created by common people who haven't been to the great art schools of the world. The people who create this authentic and very organic art from somewhere inside themselves. And folk art is a very highly collectible genre within art. Many people think that it's more honest because these folk artists are not trying to emulate anybody, that they are it's welling up from somewhere inside of themselves. Now Blake, most people would not say he fits that definition because he was an artist he was a professional artist and he did study art. But when I look at his art, I see hints of this folk tradition. Now, the one thing I want to impress upon you about Blake is that he was a mystic. He was into mysticism. The idea of mysticism is important. It's an important one to understand. Um, a mystic believes that there is sort of like two competing worlds. We have this world that we live in, the sensual world that we can access everything here through our normal 5 senses. But then there is some other universe, another world. Call it maybe the afterlife. Call it whatever you'd like. Plato believed in this realm of perfect ideals, these kind of things. But mystics believe that there are sort of two worlds, and that a mystic can somehow bridge the gap between this world and the next world. And the mystic can go into this other world, mentally, spiritually, however, and bring back forbidden truths or truths that you can't get in any other way. So Blake was a mystic. He believed that you could access this great collection of knowledge out there, and you could use your imagination to do it. Now he's not at all alone in this. This was a time when there were when lots of mysticism was going on. The Quakers are a Christian religious sect, who actually a lot of them moved to America, and the Puritans really oppressed them in a big way. I mean, like hanged them and just like many of them were whipped to death just for spreading the word. The problem is these Quakers were evangelical, so they felt like they had to spread their religion. So the Quakers believed in this. They're Christians, but they believed in this ongoing revelation. So both the Bible was true for them, but also anything that was revealed to them during their meditation and intense prayer sessions. That was also just as true as anything they found in the Bible. That's mysticism. Now, Blake is certainly a mystic. He he believed that he could access the other world and bring that information back, and he infused all of that information into his poetry and his art. So that's why when you read Blake, you might be reading regular Christianity type images and symbols that we're all pretty used to, and then also that will be infused with Greek and Roman mythology, and then on top of that he will have a list of really completely original characters and content and beliefs that he has come up with himself, and he'll incorporate all of this into one system. In fact, he says that he has to create his own system, otherwise he'll be enslaved by someone else's. I must create my own system or be enslaved by another man's, he said. And we see this in your first reading in All Religions Are One. So he is trying to say that there is this common source of religion, and they really are all one thing. They come from the same place. They may manifest themselves in different ways, but when you get right down to it, they've come from this same transcendent, divine collection of knowledge. And so that's how he can sort of take them all and mesh them into his own synthesis. That's sort of, in some ways, like Islam a little bit, where Islam believes that other holy teachers were prophets. Also, it's a lot like Ralph Waldo Emerson and the Transcendentalists, who believe that they can transcend from this world into another world and learn truths from intuition. And Emerson calls this thing that we are accessing the oversoul. Emerson, of course, is an American statesman, writer, philosopher. And then it's also a lot like Buddhism, Hinduism, and Taoism, where they try to they strive to tap into some divine collective and achieve enlightenment that way. All right, so Blake was an artist, a printer, an engraver, and also a poet. He took all three of these art forms, all three of these skill sets that he had, and incorporated them all into his works. His art is just as collectible, just as important as his poetry. And what he ended up doing is creating what are called illuminated manuscripts. And what he would do is he would take copper tablets and he would etch in backwards. He would etch the words and the image of his page backwards into these copper tablets. And then he would use the copper tablet. He had a system that he would do, and he would make a stamp out of this copper tablet, and then he would take whatever book he was writing and just a book with blank pages, and he would stamp. He would use those copper tablets to individually stamp each page. And then he would go back, if someone ordered his book, he would go back and he would stamp each page, and then he would go back and he would paint individually, hand paint each of his pages. Now, these that I'm showing you here are not from his illuminated works. They're just art works that he has created. He has a very distinctive style, and you can pick it out if you're used to looking at Blake. You can pick it out pretty easily. Look at the expression on these animals here, and then we'll see that again later.